You've probably seen it by now because who hasn't, but Sony announced that they'll be completely phasing out physical media when it comes to PlayStation games by the year 2028, which basically also means that the PS6 will most likely be completely all digital. And funnily enough, in the same breath, they showed us exactly why that's a terrible idea, also announcing the closure of the stores for the PlayStation 3 and PS Vita. Obviously, everyone has been clowning on them a lot since then. In fact, they haven't even tweeted anything since that original announcement back on the 1st of July. Everyone has been getting in on the action. Even Sony's own Naughty Dog changed the Twitter banner to essentially show solidarity with all of the opposition against Sony's incredibly dumb idea. Now, obviously, while digital games have been becoming so much more convenient in recent years, at the same time, I mean, nothing really beats all that kind of physical boxes, but even apart from just that very kind of nostalgic aspect to it and just being able to show stuff off on your shelf for similar reasons why stuff like vinyls or tapes are coming back at the same time, there's also obviously other reasons why it's just such a terrible idea to get rid of it completely when it comes to actual content ownership. Something that the big guys like Sony obviously aren't a fan of. And they have been recently removing media that people have already owned because various licensing contracts expired. And obviously the customers aren't getting any kind of return. I mean, don't be silly. What are you expecting? A refund for something you bought and can no longer use because of some big company deciding you can't? So how did we even end up in a situation anyway? Well, a large part of it can just come down to customer apathy. Sure, while physical is better literally 9 times out of 10, you can't deny that a lot of people are buying digital, and many games are being released only digitally nowadays. And many people who just didn't care about the kind of preservation of the media, they just went along with it. So one of the biggest reasons why we even ended up here is just overall customer apathy and the fact that many people just bought digital for the convenience without thinking of the long-term consequences. To be fair, a pandemic of apathy is literally the reason for most of the problems in the world nowadays when you think about it. Though I'm not putting all the blame on just people who only buy digital because they can't be bothered to, I don't know, fish out a disc whenever they want to play something. There are obviously other factors at play here, especially the state of the economy nowadays. No matter where you are in the world, things are looking kind of bad, and gaming as a hobby is becoming way more expensive than ever before. And as much as we like to pretend it is one of those necessities in life alongside food or water, it's something that people can live without, and even when they do decide to actually buy something new for themselves, well, all of a sudden paying a bit less for that all-digital version of PS5, well, it's looking like the better option, and you just think about the long-term consequences of not having a disk drive later. Speaking of disk drives, I'm definitely also putting some blame for all of this on PC case manufacturers who have been really de-emphasizing 5.25-inch base recently. However, at the same time, well, Sony have very much recently proven that people do still have interest in physical media, given how the disk drive attachment for the PS5 has been selling so much ever since this announcement that they had to limit it to just one per customer. So on the one hand, they're announcing the end of optical media and already saying that they're repurposing the factories to do other stuff, while on the other hand, they're literally forced to admit that, well, there's clearly interest in it still. Though obviously another key consideration when it comes to games now and in the future on physical media is just the size of games. That's obviously one of those things that it's very difficult to get around with how big modern games are, and with the fact that there hasn't been too much innovation and progress when it comes to the capacity of optical drives. Not like multi-disc games haven't been a thing for a while now, and to be fair, the situation probably isn't as dire as you think at first. 50GB Blu-rays are already a thing, and there has even been high capacity ones, though they haven't really seen too much adoption ever since the introduction. Not to mention the fact that Sony probably have one of the best advantages when it comes to the adoption of any kind of new optical standards, given the fact that they have been one of the big leaders when it comes to CD, DVD and Blu-ray adoption in the first place. Or hey, if it's still too much of a hassle, why not just ditch optical media entirely and switch to game cards like what Nintendo did? A Switch 2 one holds 64GB, and I'm certain that someone like Sony or Microsoft will be able to develop their own that has a much higher capacity while still maintaining a pretty decent price to actually manufacture. And then when it comes to the convenience part of it, for the people too lazy to grab a box from a shelf, well, Microsoft have been promising some innovations in that regard. While the details are kind of scarce right now, what it basically sounds like you'll be able to do is take a physical game and create a digital version that just gets added into your account, or you're still just able to enjoy the physical game as much as you like, so that sounds like a pretty cool thing if it pans out the way we think it does. And sure, while you can argue that right now things aren't better on PC due to the Steam monopoly, which is fully digital, well, let's not kill ourselves. There's plenty more you can do on PC. Platforms like GOG exist where you can do whatever you want with the games once you purchase them, including making physical backups and just playing them whenever. Not to mention just being still able to buy and play any kind of physical games made now or even 20 years ago. But still, the situation is kind of bleak, but given the amount that people have been talking about it online, I mean, Sony have to respond somehow, so I want to hear what you think their response is going to be down in the comments below. And while at it, maybe also check out our Patreon, because even a single $1 a month truly goes a long way, while also being a much better investment than giving it to Sony right now. So huge thanks to Gavin Burns, Justin Rage, Ella Vroniak, Balish Roken, another pseudonym, Maxon, Shane Allcroft, and Mason Magruder. But anyway, that's all it is. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then remember to subscribe, like, whatever, and I'll see you all in whatever I make next. Goodbye everyone, goodbye.